Hey everyone, it's a new improved me. It's me in a circle. I just found a new button. Thought I'd try it out. Today we are going to write fractions into percents and we're going to change decimals into percents as well. I'm going to teach you how to biglify, a word that I made up that will go in a dictionary someday. And I'm going to teach you the other end of moving fractions to decimals. So let's get started. We have learned, hopefully this is looking familiar to you. What I really want to help you visualize is that any number can be written as a fraction, it can be written as a percent, or it can be written as a decimal. We've learned how to go percent to fraction, percent to decimal. You guys know how to go fraction to decimal. So today we're doing the yellow arrows. We are going to go from a fraction to a percent and from a decimal to a percent. So the biggest thing to go, let's start with percent. Let's say we have 75%, and we're going to change it to a decimal. Well, the decimal is 0.75. So to change a decimal to a percent, you do that by moving the decimal 2 times to the right. Okay, so if this is a decimal, or if this is 75%, you're going to remember if the decimal's not in sight, then you move it on the right. Okay, but if it's a decimal, then you're going to see the decimal, and then you can just move it twice to the right. Okay? And so that's how 75 hundredths turns into 75%. You just move the decimal 2 times to the right. Basically, you're timesing it by 100 because what does the percent mean? It means per 100. So you times by 100. So if we have 0.7 and you want to change it to a percent, you're going to scoop it twice to the right and you're going to get 70%. It is that easy, friends. If you have something like 88 thousandths, you scoop it twice and you get 8.8%. What if you have a whole number, 1.2? Doesn't matter, you still scoop it twice. If you need to put a 0, do it. 1.2 is 120%. 1.2 is a number bigger than a whole number, and 100% is bigger than a whole 100%, isn't it? So it makes sense that they're both over 100, or both over one whole. In your notes, you have 454 thousandths. What are you going to do? Skip it twice and get 45.4%. I can't even give you like a tricky problem. Like it's just that simple. Whatever the decimal is, move it twice. I guess maybe if I gave you like a whole number like 2 and I said change it to a percent, you would have to know, oh, put the decimal on the right because it's not in sight, and then scoop it twice. So 2 is actually equal to 200%. That might be as tricky as it gets. So let's move on. Let's figure out how to change a fraction to a percent. There's actually 2 ways that you can do this. One way you probably could already figure out because you already know how to change a fraction to a decimal, right? Fraction hating troll. So you can do that. And then I just barely taught you that you can scoop it twice to the right to make it a percent. So to change a fraction to a percent, you do that by making it a decimal by calling up the fraction hating troll. And then scooping twice to make it a percent. So you divide to get it a decimal, then you times by 100 to get it a percent. That's option 1. So if you have something like 3/40ths and it says change to a percent, let's change 3/40ths into a decimal first of all. And 40 will not go into 30, but it will go into 307 times, giving me a remainder of 20. Add a decimal, bring it down, and that will be 5. Okay, so I have 0.075. I went from 3/40ths as my fraction to 0.075. Now that it's a decimal, I know that I can scoop it twice to make it a percent. So it is 7.5%. These 3 things are all the exact same amount. Cool, huh? So that's option 1. Change it, fraction hating troll, scoop it. If you guys are already good at changing fractions to decimals, so this might be a good strategy for you. It does require 2 steps though. So let me teach you another step where you can just go straight to the percent corner. And it is by using the word biglify. You guys know how to simplify, right? If you were to simplify 6/10, you would make it smaller. You would divide it by 2 and you would get 3/5. Okay, that's not going to help you get to a percent. What will help you get to a percent is by biglifying. Biglifying means that you are going to times the top and the bottom by the same number in order to get to 100. So if I'm at 10 and I want to get to 100, then I'm going to times the denominator by 10. And then to keep them equivalent, I need to do the exact same thing to the top. So 6 times 10 is 60. Now I'll have 60 hundredths. And you might be like, well, Mrs. Madsen, that's not a percent. It's not, but you do know that anytime you have a fraction over 100, that you can take that 1 and you can take those zeros and you can turn it into a percent. 60 over 100 is the same as 60%. So 6/10 is the same as 60%. So biglifying will work if you're dealing with a number, a denominator that is a factor of 100, right? 100 has to be a multiple of whatever the denominator is. So 25 will work if you have 3 25ths. 25 is a factor of 100, right? You can times it by 4. So do that to the top and the bottom, and you get 12 over 100, which you know is 12%. So 3 25ths is 12%. Okay, so 3 25ths is 12%. And then how could I change 12% to a decimal? I move that decimal twice and I get 12 hundredths. So all of those have the same value. They're the same amount. Let's practice that a little bit more. If you have a fraction like 3/10, how could I biglify it to 100? Well, I can make it 30 hundredths, which would then be 30%, wouldn't it? If I have 1 1/5, what do you do for this? Well, I'm going to keep the 1 out of it. That tells me that it's going to be 100% plus another 5th more. So let's just worry about the 5ths. Let's times 5 by 20 because that'll give me 100. And then let's times the top by 20 to keep them equivalent. And I get 20 over 100, which is 20%. So 1 1/5 is equal to 120%. Cool, huh? All right, this one was deleted. So let's go on to 0 and 8/10, right? I want you to write it as a fraction and as a percent. Basically what I'm saying is here's 0.8. I want you to find the fraction of 0.8 and the decimal or the percent of 0.8. So you can start with whichever way you'd like. For me, I would probably start by scooping twice to the right. So that would make it, let's see, let me write it. Once, twice, that would make it 80%. Then I could either write 8/10 and simplify it, or I could take this 80% and put it over 100 and simplify it. Divide them both by 10, get 8/10, divide those both by half, and get 2/5. So here's what I just found out. I found out that 8/10 is equal to 2/5, and it's also equal to 80%. That's incorrect. How many of you have already raised your hand and told me I'm wrong? That is not correct. If I divide these in half, that would be 4/5. 4/5 is the same, is the same as 80%, which is the same as 8/10. Let's do another one so I don't confuse you this time. All right, we have another decimal. We have a 0.76. Let's scoop it twice to get to 76%. And then let's change that into a fraction. We got to simplify though. Always remember to simplify when you're dealing with fractions. So if they're both even, we're going to divide them by 2 and get 50 and I don't know that one very good mentally. So we're going to do this. 38. Okay. And those are both even. So I can divide by 2 again and get 25. 38 divided by 2 is 19. 19 is prime, so 19 25ths. So 76 hundredths is the same as 76% and also 19 25ths. Yay! 5/16. So now we're starting up here with our triangle, and we need to get it to a percent and to a decimal. I can't biglify 16 to 100, can I? So I'm going to have to do it the other direction. I'm going to have to fraction hating troll it. 16 times 2 is 32. Ooh, but can I go more? Let's see. Oh yeah, because that's 48. Okay, and my eraser's not working, so I'm just going to have to rewrite it. 16 is 48, and then we have 20, which would be 1, and that would be 40, right? Which would be 2, which would be 8, and that would be 5. Wow. Okay, so that's 0.3125. That's the decimal. And now the percent for that will be me scooping this twice, which would be 31.25%. So let's rewrite this so it looks nice. 5/16 is equal to 3,125th, 10 thousandths, and 31.25%. That, my friends, is how you go fraction, decimal, decimal, fraction percent, decimal percent. Try it on your own. Get a lot of practice in. See you next time. Where's my mouse so I can pause? This isn't awkward at all.